All right, welcome to another video on our platform here. I'm Aaron Dalzell with the Dalzell Realty Group. Today we're going to be talking about um, being ready to make an offer. What does it mean? What do you need? What kind of happens at that process? So it is a question I get a lot. After we've been showing some homes to buyers, we've kind of narrowed that process down, and now we're getting to the point where we'd like to make an offer. So kind of from the contract point of view, some of the things that you're going to want to have in mind are the most obvious ones. We're going to want to know what that purchase price is going to be, and whether it's the full asking price, whether it's a little bit under, depending on our strategy. If we're trying to go a little bit lower, hoping that there's going to be some type of counter that's working in between. We're also going to want to focus on our due diligence period. During that time, typically we're going to ask for potentially 10 to 12 days or so, given the circumstances of the property. During that time, that's when we're going to take care of our home inspection, give the house a once over, making sure that we are prepared and ready to ask for any requests for repairs, which we'll handle in another video at a later time. But those are kind of the two big ones right off the top. We're also going to be, if you're getting funding through a financial a bank, a financial institution, we're going to want to make sure that we have the appraisal timetable set up so that we don't run out of time to get our appraisal done. Also, we're going to want to make sure that we have the loan contingency put into place. That way, we just don't run too tight on time. It's going to be a stressful and emotional time as you're going through this stage. So we really want to make sure that we've got our timetables working in our favor. As we start to get into some of the more intricate things of appraisals, there's everything from the actual home being appraised to a septic tank, a sewer inspection, roof inspection, pool inspection, spa inspection. So we're going to want to make sure that we've identified all the inspections that we're going to be looking for. If we're asking the seller to pay for any of them. Traditionally, that's not typically the case. Typically we're going to handle that from the buying side of things, but just like any contract, everything is negotiable. After that, we're going to really focus in on our closing costs. So typically, we're going to see, how the escrow fee is going to be handled. Is that going to be a seller item, a buyer item? Is that going to be split 50-50? How about the lender's policy, the homeowner's title policy? What about the RPTT that we're going to see on there, which stands for the real property transfer tax? We're going to see things like that are going to be relevant in deciding, who's going to be paying for those. Are they going to be split, or are they going to be buyer or seller side? Also, we'll get into closing costs. Are you asking for any contribution towards your closing costs? Maybe it's to buy down a rate. Maybe it's to help with these closing costs. Ideally, we're going to go through that questionnaire and kind of find out how we want to play our hand there. And really, then it gets into a home warranty. Is that something that we're going to be asking for? And if so, is the seller going to be asked to pay for it, whatever side of this that you happen to be on? Or is it going to be something that the buyer is going to be paying for, whether you are the buyer or you're the seller in this case? It's always ideal to identify here in the contract who is going to be paying for that. So those are really kind of the major things. Then that'll lead us into that final kind of picture of determining a close of escrow date. Standardly, we still see 30-day escrows. There are times though when you as a buyer or even as a seller may require some extra time. That 30 days is going to land maybe in the middle of a holiday, or middle of a school graduation or something to that effect, and we may ask for a 45-day close. But again, something that can always be negotiable. But start to take a look at your calendar. Start to get an idea of a timetable that is actually going to work for you, and moving things, whether we try to close on a Monday or a Tuesday. That way, if there are some extra documents that are needed, or if we want to start setting up for movers towards the end of the week and into the weekend, we can go ahead and pre-plan that early. Typically, we just don't grab 30 days out from now and throw that in as the closing date. Like, I like to be a little bit more strategic with it to make sure that it works for the parties that we're representing here. So then it kind of comes down to the question I got just the other day actually was, what do I need to make an offer? So besides the contract, putting all of our offer and our thoughts down on paper and our terms there that we're going to go for, is we also need to have the proof of funds. So whether you're pre-approved with a lender, whether you need to still talk with a lender, hopefully at this phase we've handled that part of it by now, but you never know. But we would want to make sure that we've got the proof of funds from our financial institution. If you're paying cash, we're still going to need some type of proof of funds, whether it's a snapshot of the bank account or an investment account that you have, wherever the funds are going to be coming from. We're going to need to submit that with the offer so that the seller knows that we are qualified, and or if we are the seller, we want to make sure that that buyer is qualified to fulfill the terms of the contract that they've laid out of that purchase price. So now, this is where sometimes it can get a little bit tricky. Is that a lot of times people are selling their home and they need to do that before they buy the new home, whether they need the cash for the down payment or they're funding the entire new purchase with the cash from the home that they're selling. So we do have the option to write our contract and opt into the sales contingent upon the sale of your current home. And so with that, we'd also need to attach the sale contingency addendum, which we would go ahead and fill out. And for that, really what we're going to want to know is we're going to need to know if the home you're selling is, or the sellers are selling, or the buyers are actually selling, is it under contract yet? Has it been put on the MLS yet? If it is in contract, is there an escrow number? Things of that sort, because the sellers, whether that is you or you're the buyers, and you're addressing the sellers, they're going to want to know where is this in the process? If you haven't even put it on the market yet, they may have some questions of why it's not on the market yet, or how they see the timetables playing out as the transaction moves forward. So, they may even ask for a copy of if it is an escrow, they may even ask for a copy of the residential purchase agreement showing, kind of the terms, the layout, so they have an idea of what they're doing too. Because ultimately, as an agent, it's my job to protect your best interest, whether that is the buying or the selling side, when it comes to making these offers. So stay tuned for more videos. If you have any more questions about making the offer, kind of the key areas that we're looking at, or what you need to actually make the offer, assuming we've already found a property to go ahead and make an offer on, always feel free to reach out to me. I'll always list my contact information below, and be here to help you along the way. So hopefully you found some value here, and we'll hopefully be putting in that offer for you.